What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Mountain Witch Tarot channel. Today we are covering Stephen Miller and we are doing his political futures video. If this is your first time here and you like these types of videos, consider hitting the subscribe button and sticking around for more political divination. Also, don't forget to click the like button, and if you really want to, check out my description box. I got some cool, interesting links down there. Appreciate if you guys would give that a look-see. And if you have any suggestions for people you want me to cover for Political Futures series in the future, just let me know. There's a lot of futures. All right, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to start off with a few 3 or 5 card draws just to kind of get into Stephen Miller's energy. So if you don't know who Stephen Miller is, I'll put a little thing in the description box to kind of get you acquainted with him. But I have a feeling if you're here, you know who he is. And you should. Everybody should know who Stephen Miller is at this point. He may possibly be the biggest snake in the country. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get a few cards down for Stephen Miller. This is a general energy. We'll do 5 cards. What kind of person is Stephen Miller? So from the looks of things, we've got the birds. We've got birds right in the center. We've got garden scythe, cross, and broom. Immediately, I can tell Stephen Miller is someone who is intensely religious. I know that probably sounds like a duh, Sarah. We know he's religious to some type of fault. And unlike a lot of people in the Trump regime, I don't think that Stephen Miller does it for show. I think that he truly is fanatically religious. He's also someone who I feel like he makes himself known in every group. He kind of is probably the type of person who goes around and introduces himself to everyone and kind of exerts his dominance on everyone. That's kind of a vibe that I'm getting here. It's a very cutting social vibe. It's something that's almost intrusive. So let's get a few more cards for Stephen Miller and see what we can pick up on him. Let's say, what is Stephen Miller's #1 goal in politics? We've got the fox in the center, so the energy here is very self-serving. This is very what society would probably consider not good. This is like a bad sign, considering that we have a few cards here that are positive cards. This is kind of eclipsing everything and putting a little bit of, like a skew on the energy of the reading. So over here, we have this sense that Stephen Miller wants to see this country go in an entirely different direction. He does not like the path that this country's on. And my guess is that it's anything progressive because he has, I'm getting, like from the book, there is just this sense of years of, maybe even decades of study, practice, learning from mentor-type people who have kind of bequeathed him, we'll use that word, with this alternate idea of how things should be. And it's, again, we have the energy of the fox kind of overshadowing all of this. It's a very self-serving perspective. It's a very one-sided, narrow-minded perspective. It's not something that the rest of the country is really on board with. And then over here, very blatantly, this has a lot to do with women, women's health, reproductive rights, and I think probably Stephen Miller's feelings towards women in general. It seems to me that he has a lot of internalized issues regarding women and how women function in society, and I think he absolutely does not like the idea of women living in modern times as modern human beings and having modern rights. I thought we would see something regarding war, regarding money. There's absolutely no mention of anything like that here. I feel like this man is on a mission to put women back in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant. Let's do 7 cards. What does the end of his political career look like, or what do we need to know about the end of Stephen Miller's political career? Now, don't tune out, guys, after this, because we're still going to do the grand tableau for Stephen Miller, and that will reveal a tremendous amount of information. This is not going to be the full scope of his reading. These are just some quick energy connection readings so that we can kind of tap into the mind of Stephen Miller, as terrifying as that sounds. We have to do it. We have to get on his vibration frequency. Or, you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Instantly, the first thought that comes to mind, his career will end the same way it began. That very first reading that we did, you'll notice there are a tremendous amount of cards in common between that first energy reading and this one. So that's kind of indicating to me that how he got there is how he will leave. We have the scythe, we have the broom, we have the tree, we have the energy of the letter at the center. So this could indicate possibly that there will be some type of communication or information release or leak, or, you know, something by way of communication that is at the epicenter of his downfall. And I do think that it'll be a downfall because we do have the scythe, the broom, the tower. I'm getting a sense of abandonment, left behind. I'm kind of getting a feeling that over here, like when I mentioned, you know, his personality, his propensity to kind of flex on people in the government is going to contribute to his downfall, okay? And that's why we have 2 common cards over here from the first reading plus the tower. So he, in a way, there's also a sense of him isolating himself here. And then over here, there's this growing sense of long time coming. This guy's he's gonna get hit pretty hard with something that has been a long time coming. I don't know what it is. We may soon find out. It may take a little while. We haven't asked for like timing here. So I would say that there's not too much of a sense of timing unless you wanted to kind of look at like, you know, tower and tree are both indicators of long-term issues and long-term things. So it could be that Stephen Miller is in the public eye for a while. You know, he may have a good run, but he definitely is not going to come to a great end, politically speaking. This side of the reading is directing me back to the first spread that we pulled for him. And so I feel like it's kind of indicating to bring that message back into this reading as well. So his fanaticism is isolating. At some point, it will probably come up as a problem. It will be called up and put front and center as a glaring problem because I just sense this isolation here. And it's because of his, the thing that he kind of is in a cycle of or in a loop of. And I feel like his energy is very much I get this stirring about him from these cards. It almost is like an anxious, frenetic energy. And so I'm kind of getting that's what is going to also contribute to it, which is most likely his religious fanaticism. And I think we will see him cut out of the government because we have the scythe card here. And then this is also hearkening back to that first spread where we kind of see him as someone who is pushy, domineering, overbearing, even though we don't have the bear in this spread, but I still kind of get this sense of him flexing on people and pushing and just being obnoxious and not very likable, even amongst probably his own colleagues. And I think that will contribute to him being cut out of the picture. So I don't think that he has a easy road ahead of him, and I don't think that he will leave politics gracefully or with any dignity. We'll put it that way. So, all right, that's our quick little spread for it. Let's go ahead and get into the grand tableau and see what we can really get on Stephen Miller. All right, sorry if it's crooked. Just try to overlook that. This is going to be really interesting. So, again, we have, right off the bat, we have more reinforcement right here in the center of Stephen Miller's heavily religious viewpoint, and that's at the center of his story. And keep in mind the card reassignments that we always use, they're pretty much the same for political readings, so it'll be pretty much the same here. And I'll put those on the screen. And also, I did something I normally don't do in this instance. I set a time frame because, you're supposed to have a time frame for your grand tableau. So this is Stephen Miller. The most important things we need to know about Stephen Miller over about the next 3 months or so. Maybe 6, but probably 3. So that's kind of where we're starting at here. All right, so his biggest intentions, obviously, religious fundamentalism, religious extremism. That's where his heart is. And I think that with the mountain coming in, I feel like we'll decode it as we go, but it just kind of feels immediately like he's kind of scared, I guess, that he's not going to be able to accomplish the things that he wants to accomplish. Now, why is that? I don't know. It could be because of Trump. I would say it's impossible to work with Trump. I wouldn't want to do it myself. And also, I should probably note that Trump is not in this spread because we are using, obviously, the man card as Stephen Miller's significator. So we're just looking at him specifically. But that's at the heart of his story. So for his 4 corners, he has the sun, the tower, the mice, and the dog. And this gives me instantly a really big feeling of Stephen Miller is here to tear apart the American government. He wants to make it something completely different. He wants to change it, restructure it. And I think he really truly believes that that's a good thing. I think that he's not really seeing this in any means as nefarious. I think he truly believes his own rhetoric or, whatever got him to the mental state that he's clearly in right now. He believes it. He's wholeheartedly on board with his ideals. Let's see. All right. So we've got him up at the top. He's roughly at about the center of his reading, and all of this is beneath him. So I feel like that's a good indicator that he believes he is very much in control. Kind of getting the vibe that he's one of those people who, how do I put this? I always struggle to, because the ideas come so fast, I always struggle to articulate nicely and eloquently. But he's someone who will not step away from the steering wheel. He's got to be driving. He's got to be driving the mission. He's got to be driving, if it's a plan, if it's a task, he has to be in the driver's seat. Very much getting that from the energy surrounding him here. And then also in his immediate, his very near cards, we have, again, the connection to religion, the connection to, I feel like these two together, just based on the energy that I get from him in his spreads so far, is this book plus the cross in this circumstance is making me think of religious schooling, religious indoctrination. He is someone who's very, very indoctrinated. Now, again, because we use card reassignments for political Lenormand, the lady is the administration. So I don't know if he's like, there's some connection here, something very important about this particular administration to Stephen Miller. And it could be, let's see, what have we got for context around it? Going from her, I'd say we've got kind of secret information. We've got the letter and the book, the protection of the bear, the prosperity of the bear, having something to lose. This administration's really important to him. And I think that there's something new about the structure here. It was likely a challenge to get here with this particular administration. Maybe it's kind of a dream team for him, kind of getting a little bit of a sense of that. And it's interesting that when we do these political readings, the administration and the loyalists are always in very close proximity to each other. And here we have them in a nice little diagonal from him. So he not only is someone he considers himself to be one of Trump's closest allies and closest, probably because he wants to be the one pulling the strings, but he is very much a loyalist to this movement. Kind of getting the sense that this is a movement, because we have like the bear, the stork, and the letter, and I keep thinking when I see this that this is more about a political movement, about a changing movement. And I'll tell you another thing that I kind of get the feeling for with these three cards is changing the Constitution. For some reason, this card is coming through to me as a Constitution reference. I don't think that these people like the Constitution at all. Like, at all. These aren't your granddad's Republicans, obviously. These are they're like a totally different breed, and I feel like they are very intentionally concentrating. There's so much energy, so many thoughts coming to mind in viewing this as the Constitution of the United States. I feel like they are probably likely to, there's a sense here of they're probably likely to struggle with the movement and the new implementations and just kind of the approach in general. Like, there's a sense around this card of we've got the loyalists, we've got the administration, but we've got a lot of movement here. It's just like they don't know for sure where they're going is what is kind of coming from this particular combination of cards. So at the center, they want to change. They want something new. They want to move it in a different direction. They want to tear it apart and rebuild it. We have the mice up here. We have the moon. We have the whip. I think with these three cards kind of pressing down their energy on this, I think they believe that with enough of the same repetitive actions, they can achieve what they're wanting to do. And this being ahead of him as far as the directionality of the spread goes, this is what's immediately in front of him. So this is like, maybe it could be his very next task. Maybe it could be something, because again, this is a reading for the next 3 months, roughly. So within the next 3 months, I think that he has some type of plan of how to move forward into a new direction to restructure the country and possibly like destroy the Constitution, rebuild the Constitution, or rebuild something that he and, you know, those who share his views are more, something that they are more, what's the word I'm looking for? I keep getting distracted by the thought that's coming into my head that this is something that maybe a lot of people have been working on for a really long time. So it's not like they're going to make something completely brand new. It'll be new to us, but it's something that's not new to them. That's just kind of like the thought that keeps popping into my head, is there something that they've already had planned and ready if the opportunity ever arose to employ it. Wow, that is a lot of intense energy on this side of the reading. Absolutely crazy. Okay, let's take a look back behind him, though. So, not saying that this is in his past. I know some people do read that way. I don't read that way. I kind of like to see it as branches of what's happening all around him. And again, he's at the top, so he feels like he is driving the car. He's behind the wheel. He's on top of everything. Let's see what he's got over here. So right up here at the top, we start with the sun, the bouquet, the clover, the key, and it runs straight into Stephen Miller. We've already kind of covered this side over here, so I feel like this is something to do with his entrance to where he is now in politics. I feel like there may be an indicator of maybe there is information to indicate something needs to be known about how he got to where he is. That's what I keep thinking with these cards leading up to him. It's like there's something that the public needs to know. It's likely information that is out there and available. Then down here, let's see, we have the rider, the lilies. So this, of course, would be his... I hate to even say this in the context of these people because you all know how it goes, but we reassign the lilies card to be their assumed duty to the people of the United States because, you know, like them or not, unfortunately, they are in places of power. So we will interpret this card as his duty to the United States. And as you can see, his duty to the United States does not exist. He's willing to risk a lot to get what he wants, to get where he wants, to see his plan to fruition, whatever the case may be. He does not care to risk things, and, you know, and I think that's probably because he feels like there are no repercussions at this point. I feel like kind of getting the energy that he feels emboldened, and we're kind of seeing this up here a little bit. He knows that he has some type of safeguard or padding or insulation that keeps him from, no matter what he does, it's going to keep him from facing any significant pushback or anything to really stop him. And of course, we've kind of already seen that from the Trump administration this time around. We have the federal judges slapping down everything Trump does, but at the same time, it's not stopping him from trying to do things. So I think Stephen Miller has a pretty strong sense of that as well. Then we have, let's see. Now we usually, for the ring, we usually go for, you know, Russia, shadow governments, shadow alliances. I think if we look at it in the context of shadowy alliances, we're probably seeing something here about Stephen Miller breaking away because we've got the scythe, so there's like a cutting away, and then with the ring is the alliance itself, and then the stars kind of spreading and going in different directions and kind of going wherever he wants to, kind of following his heart. And then down here we have, obviously he is a snake in the government, not even joking, he is a snake within the government. We all know that. That is not news. And then we have kind of a reference here to something shady going on with money. You know what this is, these four cards, this is like he's locked in. And it has something to do with finances. It has something to do with a financial deal, something that was a long time coming, something that has many branches or arms, and kind of getting that from these two cards. There's like levels, tiers. I'm kind of thinking like this thought is coming to mind about an organization that spreads in so many different directions. You know what I mean? Locked in. He's like solidly locked in. And I think that with the help of the loyalist, he is able to shield his truth in a way. Like they're hiding something about him. There's this sense of like hiding things because of their loyalty to Trump, and because like, hey, we're all on the same page here. We're all in it for a common goal. We're here to make money. We're here to fill our pockets. We're here for Christian fascism, whatever the case is. I feel like there is a sense of we all have a common goal, and we need to work together to make sure that nobody really recognizes what we're doing so that we can keep doing it. Let's see here. Let's take a look at some diagonals real quick. I think if we single out the heart and we look at it, interpret it as Stephen Miller's goals and the things that he wants most out of his political career now and in the future, there is a sense of a long-standing situation. So it's something he's worked toward for quite some time, something he is very dedicated to, something that runs incredibly deep. And it's interesting that, again, here we have the ties to religious extremism, fanaticism. Let's see. Kind of feel like if we look, starting right up here, I forgot to lean towards my microphone. Sorry about that. So if we look at like the sun, the lilies, the star, the anchor, the garden, and again, I feel that sense of those short energy readings we did at the beginning coming through here. So definitely a reference to that. This is a very important card when it comes to Stephen Miller because of the way that he treats the people around him. I feel like there is this being locked in. He has really dug in to where he's at. It would take an act of Congress, quite literally, to get rid of him, probably more than that. I think he's someone who, very unfortunately, he's going to hang around for a while. He's going to fight tooth and toenail, I think, to hang around for a while, unless there is some stroke of genius that comes about and the energy, the power shifts. If the power in government shifts, maybe then he could see, like removal of some kind or something. But I think we're going to have to deal with him for a while. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from him, is he's in it for the long haul and he's not going to give up anytime soon. Let's see. It's very secretive. I feel like there is very much kind of like an energy block just overall when we're looking at like overall things. Of course, we can single out individual topics like his heart card or his, him in particular, or like his work card. We can single these things out, but as far as like an overall piece of information, I don't see much in the diagonals that we kind of don't already know about him as a person. So I just kind of makes me wonder, when that happens, is there some potential block of energy to where we can't like really read much into him. The diagonals are not very helpful, I don't think, unfortunately. If I see any later on in editing or something, I might put them on the screen, but interestingly enough, I don't, like, nothing's really standing out to me. One thing that I want to mention real quick, I think Stephen Miller, there's this diagonal right here kind of gives me the sense, I would say that if people around him were 100% honest, nobody likes him. And I think why that is significant is because if nobody likes him, if he is a very unlikable, pushy, just unsavory type of person, I think that sets him up for vulnerability. I think that makes it to where, when push comes to shove, he would probably be a candidate for being thrown under the bus. You know what I mean? Because these are the kind of people we're dealing with when we're looking at like the Trump regime. And I, kind of see them in the future at some point eating themselves and each other. And I feel like that might be a clue as to his downfall, his future in politics, is that he is not likable. Again, there's this sense of camaraderie based on common goals, but I don't think that anybody likes him. I think that I don't know. I mean, he could be creepy, and that's just my own conjecture, but I think there's something that he does to people that doesn't go over very well, and I think it just kind of sits weird with people. So I think that could be a clue, like I said, as to how his future in politics goes. He may be someone who is quickly discarded because everybody's like, yeah, let's get rid of that guy. We don't really like that guy anyway, right? Like, we're all on the same page. We don't like Stephen Miller. Yeah, let's throw him under the bus because he's kind of icky and weird. Let's see. yeah, I don't know. There's some information here, but there's also kind of like an energy block. Like there's something that it's not going to tell me specifically about him. So let's go ahead and look at his fate line. And his fate line is the last 4 cards down here. So we have the White House, we have the birds, we have the garden, we have the fox. This again reinforces, you know, his, like, what is his path ahead? What is his future in politics? It is a shady road where he is going to self-sabotage based on his public persona. I really think that that's the main thing that this spread's trying to tell us, is that he will be responsible for his own downfall because of the people around him not being receptive to who and what he is. That's just the energy that comes across here, is that he just, when he comes into a room or into a group or a crowd or something, like, people know something's off. He just feels off, and that's the energy that I keep getting over and over and over and over, and there's really not a whole lot else here. So what is the answer to the question, what is Stephen Miller's future in politics? Oddly enough, I don't think this spread really fully answered it. I think that if we look at the exit cards, you know, we have the crossroads, the clouds, and the dog. And if we just isolate these 3 cards, I think that really, if this is the ultimate answer here, then his path ahead is uncertain. But I don't know why. We do have the Constitution sitting above. We do have protection, something to lose, versus the change of the Constitution. And that's how I feel like the energy is flowing between these 3 cards when we're looking at these 3 as the subject, is something to lose in the Constitution versus something to change in the Constitution. So could be that our second clue about his political future is he will not fare well the further he goes in pursuing this goal, this dream, this transformation that he wants to see happen in the United States Constitution. So there you go. There is Stephen Miller's political future. All right, guys, I will be back with another political future video. I'm also going to do a few tarot readings and try to get those posted for you this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new here, consider sticking around. Hit the subscribe. Leave me a comment. Let me know if there's anybody else you would want to see a political futures reading on. And also, I have a bunch of these already, so definitely go check out the playlist. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.